The only way to build equal partnership is for you to be in your integrity, which means being home in yourself, respecting your boundaries, speaking your truth, and knowing that all your needs are met from within, from yourself, and acting congruently. You've got to act in congruence with your integrity. Welcome to the Boundless Heart. This is your podcast to learn to set and keep healthy boundaries, strong boundaries too. Claim and live your power, which is your pleasure, and allow in equal partnerships. I'm your host, LC, and I am here to tell you that I have been in enough unequal partnerships to know that I am no longer willing to settle, okay? And I don't want you to either. I have a lot of different tools and some wisdom I've learned the hard way, of course, because don't we always learn the hard way? That's why we learn. Anyway, I'm reaching my hand out to you to guide you back home to yourself so that you can stay in your integrity and act in congruence with who you truly are, which is what creates the world around you to be that which is perfect and awesome for you. After this episode, you are going to know how to get into your integrity and stay aligned with it and act in congruence with it. And also recognize when others around you are not acting in congruence with their words, so they're not being in integrity. And then you can make decisions on what you want to do about that and whether or not it works for you. Are you ready for this? I am. Let's go. To start off, I'd love to tell you, and really I love to tell you, that this episode is springing from a conversation that I am so grateful to have been a witness of in the private chat of the Premium Pleasure Coaching membership that goes along with this podcast. The women were talking about equal partnerships and allowing them into their lives, whether that is within existing relationships or whether that is in waiting and having the patience and the self-love to not settle for anything less than their equal. Today in particular was someone who talked about witnessing their partner, their spouse, saying words and then acting incongruently with those words. Oftentimes, especially women, will manipulate ourselves around those words and those actions to try to come up with ways in our heads that makes it okay that the words and actions are not congruent, especially in others, especially if it's because of a relationship or a marriage that we tell a story about. A marriage should be this, and we have to keep that. And then all of a sudden, the relationship is more important than our own integrity. It's like our integrity moves from ourselves to the relationship. And now we try to line ourselves up with the relationship rather than with ourselves. Now, in an equal partnership, you're both lined up with yourself and come together in that space as a relationship. In an equal partnership, the relationship is healthy because both of you are fully aligned with your own integrity. It's amazing because then you just expand each other's radiance, and that's really why we're all here. Instead, what happens in relationship, oftentimes, almost all the time, is if you can imagine yourself as a puzzle. Just imagine you're a puzzle and the other person is also a puzzle. That could be very easy to imagine depending on who you are and who you're with, or harder, but do your best. You're a puzzle. Most of us, because we're taught, it's not really our fault, we're really taught that in order to complete this puzzle that we are, we have to reach out and grab a piece over here from this person, a piece over there from this experience, a piece over here from this achievement or winning this competition or whatever it may be. Okay? Of having this kind of a friend or that kind of car. You got to gather all these pieces. When actually, all the pieces are already intact. We are already actually whole as we are. We're taught we're not. So then everybody tries to give this piece over here to this person and grab a piece over there from that person. And we're all just all mixed up, but we can always take our pieces back. And it's actually not as hard as it might seem. We can actually call our pieces back. We don't have to find where they went. We can simply allow, intend, and draw our pieces back to us. How do we do that? We get into our own integrity. How in the hell do we do that? We get home. We come home to ourselves. We come home into our bodies, and we drop the mind chatter and the categories and the labels and the should be like this things that we tell ourselves. How do we get into our integrity? We come home to our own bodies. Here is how you know if you're home. Number one, you feel as though all your needs are met. So number two, you aren't reaching or grasping or looking for or trying to find how to get your needs met. If you feel like your needs aren't met or you feel like you're reaching or grasping, it just means that those puzzle pieces that are meant to be in you are elsewhere, or you're searching for those puzzle pieces from somewhere else. When really what you want to do is come home, get in your body, and call them back, rather than grasp and reach and get desperate about it. Number three, you feel confident. Notice that I am saying you feel. So you feel as though all your needs are met. The mind will say, oh yeah, but I have to do this, and I have to pick up the kids tomorrow, and I have to go grocery shopping and do the laundry and all the whatever things that you have to do. Or maybe you're like, I'm uber horny right now and like my need is not met, or whatever it is. When in reality, those are thoughts and those are future. So the thoughts of all of the things that are going on and need to do, that's not the feeling. The feeling is, I meet all my needs and all my needs are met and all my needs will continue to be met. So you're not worried about the grocery list or feeling all horny or whatever it is, because you know that you're able to fulfill your own needs and you feel confident. You feel confident because of that. You are in your body. You know what you want. You know what you like. You know who you are. Number four, you speak your truth. Again, because you have the confidence. Now, it's not always comfortable to speak your truth, especially right away. When you're starting to come back to yourself, speaking your truth can feel really uncomfortable. That's okay. The more you do it, the more you're going to be able to speak your truth without any charge, because there's no, again, need for anyone else to fulfill any aspect of you. There's no puzzle piece that other person that you're speaking to can give you that will fill something in you, because your puzzle when you're home is already complete. Therefore, there's no charge, there's no neediness, there's no clinginess, there's no, oh no, what if they don't like my truth? What if I lose that person? You can never really lose somebody. First of all, you never actually have anybody. Like, you don't own anyone. The only thing we really have is ourselves. And the only thing we ever lose is ourself, figuratively. We never actually do. But we could go off on tangents there, which, by the way, I will, because this next one, so that was number 4, you speak your truth, and eventually you speak your truth without charge, and that is ultimate freedom. Ultimate freedom. Can you imagine for a moment speaking your absolute truth, whether it's a positive or negative? By the way, that's relative and it's subjective. You can speak that truth and it's free, and you're free. You are free because you don't need the other person to agree or to care or to feel the same or understand. Number 5, you uphold your boundaries. You say no. You say, I cannot. You say, please stop. You say, I need space. You say whatever you need to say to uphold your boundaries. And here's the best part, number 6, you respect others' boundaries. I'm going to go on a tangent here, but just a little one, and it's related. Okay, someone breaks your boundaries. Someone breaks your boundaries because they think you have a piece of their puzzle. You don't. You have your puzzle. Maybe they like your puzzle better than their puzzle, whatever it is. They think that getting a piece of your puzzle is going to fulfill them in some way that they can't do for themselves. So if you're not respecting someone else's boundaries, it means that you think that they have something in them that you can't get for yourself. Okay? That all changes when your puzzle is complete within yourself. You don't allow anyone else to come in to try to steal your puzzle pieces or your whole puzzle, who knows? And you're not out there trying to get pieces to put into your puzzle from elsewhere. Think of boundaries as a moat. You are in the center. You're like the castle in the center. You're the queen in the castle in the center, or the king, if that's who you are listening. And your moat is all around you, and that's your boundary. If you're upholding your boundary, that means you've got gators in your moat. Maybe you have some hippos. I heard they're really, really aggressive. It's scary. So you have your moat well equipped to protect you. That's what boundaries are for. They're for protecting you. So you're not just drained all the time. That's your moat. So no one will cross your moat. If you only had water in there and maybe like koi fish or something, people would just come and break your boundaries all the time. Always. They'd overstep, always. They'd swim through the moat. They'd enjoy it. I bet you have people in your life that do enjoy breaking your boundaries. Put some gators in there. And what I mean by that is say no sometimes. Say no like every time you want to. If that's all the time, fine for now. Because again, you're in a castle. You have a castle. You have drawbridges. Most people's drawbridges, even if they have those animals, those gators in their moat, this is where congruency comes in. Their drawbridges are down. So I was like, oh, no worries. Come on in. Come on in, everybody. I say these things. I say I don't want this. I say I do want this. I say I can't. But, I mean, you can still come in because my drawbridge is totally down and I'm not protected at all. Okay. Well, you actually have the power to lift that drawbridge and keep the gators in your moat and protect yourself that way. And if you're doing that, your puzzle is complete. You have no reason to need to go and bust through anyone else's boundaries, even if they don't have them. It's kind of like when you're really solid in your boundaries, you can see where someone else needs boundaries. And like you respect that too. When you're complete in yourself, you don't need from another. And this is really beautiful. It doesn't mean you don't desire. We're going to get into that next solo episode, but you don't need. So you're able to respect not only yourself, but everyone else. This is being in the state of love. So let's talk about congruency now. Because remember, this episode came about because of witnessing where words and actions were not congruent. The only way to build equal partnership is for you to be in your integrity, which means being home in yourself, respecting your boundaries, speaking your truth, and knowing that all your needs are met from within, from yourself, and acting congruently. You've got to act in congruence with your integrity. If you're not, your drawbridges are down. And then you're like leaving your castle undefended. You're leaving your crown laying around for anyone to just grab anytime. How do you act in congruence with your integrity? Well, one, you have to know what your integrity is. So get home. And the best way to get home is pleasure. Find something that gives you pleasure. Take pleasure in something right now. Maybe it's your breath. Maybe it's a movie. Maybe it's a piece of cake. Maybe it's, and by the way, if you beat yourself up for taking pleasure in anything, I have a couple episodes for you. Deshaming and claiming pleasure. That's number 18. And number 25, which is stop beating yourself up and feel amazing now because you deserve it. Okay? Get home. Get home in your body. Get home in your pleasure. And from there, notice whether or not You are upholding your word with your actions. Congruence means agreement or harmony, compatibility. When you are going about your day, notice whether or not the way you're acting is in congruence, is in agreement with, is in harmony with, and is compatible with the words you are saying and the way you are feeling when you are home. Another way about this is to act in congruence with the way you feel and speak when you're home, because that will help you stay home as well. So get home first. Know who you are. Get to a point where you feel very confident because you know all your needs are met. You're pulling all your puzzle pieces back to you and you're putting it together. You're kicking out any of the pieces that you might have grabbed from outside of you. You know that others are not needed to fulfill your needs. You're speaking your truth and you're speaking it with no charge. Visualize that. Visualize all of this if you need to. Use it and act in congruence with how that feels. You're upholding your boundaries and you're respecting the boundaries of others. When you do this, the world will shift around you to bring you relationships that are in their integrity, to bring you people who are in their own integrity and who do act congruently with their words and the way they feel when they're home. When two people come together who are both home in themselves, the only thing that can happen is a mutual expansion of radiance and pleasure and light. There then needs to be no contract. There then needs to be no sense of, we're going to call this something now. We're going to call this relationship. And we're going to put this relationship up on a pedestal because it's bigger than either of us and it matters more than either of us do as individuals. And look, this is old. I'm telling you, this is the old school way. It's like, okay, two people come together, they form a relationship. That relationship now is more important than those individuals. That's old school relationships. Like, that's how relationships have been for so long. What if, though, two people can come together who are actually complete in themselves and they understand that, okay, we're in a relationship. I mean, anytime you're relating with another person, you're in relationship, but you don't have to call it a particular thing like marriage or even dating. I mean, you're just there together. And yeah, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but you don't have to put it above the individuals. It's almost like it becomes a trinity on the same level. Yeah, there's this relationship, but the relationship only functions when both of the people in that relationship are full and complete in themselves. That's when you have a real solid, that is the real solid relationship, because then you have a mutual understanding of each other and you have a mutual, again, expansion of radiance. And that's what's important. And there's no neediness, and there's no clinginess, and there's no attachment, there's no anxiety, because you're both full already within yourselves, and you're both of your puzzles are already complete. So now you get to dance around and enjoy this amazing life together for as long as it makes sense to dance around together. Could be till the end of your lives. Could not be, but it doesn't matter. That is what we're coming to in relationship. And isn't that a free feeling? You can be so free in love when you are full in yourself. That is what I wish for you. And I am here to guide you into your home and into your pleasure, so that these are the kinds of relationships that you can create where the commitment is to mutually expanding radiance with each other. Not, you do this and I'll do this. let's have a transaction. That's old school. This is not a transactional thing. This is, wow, we're really cool people. We're full in ourselves, but man, together we're having a lot of fun. Let's keep that up until it doesn't make sense anymore. Because when it doesn't make sense anymore, it just doesn't. And then you're both free anyways. So you can remain friends or whatever. That is what I wish for you. That is what I wish for everyone. And if you feel this deep calling or yearning or longing in your soul, if your body is saying, oh my God, yeah, that finally, like that's what makes sense to me. Look, you always have a place in the VIP membership of the Boundless Heart if you're man, woman, or fluid. And you always have a place if you're a woman in the premium pleasure coaching membership of the Boundless Heart podcast. You can find both of those options at boundlessheartpod.com/premium. And I do offer one-on-one coaching for incredibly quick transformation and incredibly powerful homecoming to yourself. Oh, it's gorgeous. For that, please DM me on my Instagram. My handle is @boundlessheartpod. I'd love to work with you. The premium pleasure coaching membership starts at $27 for your first month, and you get coaching within that first month and a very powerful sisterhood. Thank you so much for being here, for putting your pleasure first. Until next time, come home to yourself. Know what it feels like to be in your integrity. Act congruently with your own integrity. And don't get